How's it going, everybody, and welcome to the moving platform here at a very, very hot day here at Magic Kingdom, which is perfect because this episode I'm going to show you the top 5 ways to beat the heat in Magic Kingdom, whether it be just a good, comfortable way to relax or taking a show to get out of the heat, or a nice, quiet, dark spot that a lot of people maybe walk right past. You can take a seat and just kind of beat the heat. Like I said, it's about almost 100 degrees today. It's June, so it's only going to get worse come August. So I've got my smart water, and let's go see if we can already get cooled down, because I'm already sweating. Like I said, it is quite hot here in Magic Kingdom, so we'll go ahead and do our snack for this episode. And when it gets hot like this, there's only one way to go: ice cream. And when you go ice cream, there's a lot of different ways you can go. You can go to the ice cream shop on the corner at Main Street. You can get the Mickey Pants miniature kitchen sink, which is a ice cream dessert served in plastic Mickey Pants. Looks really good. It's huge. You see a lot of people walking around with it, but I like to keep it classic. I like to keep it old school retro. Mickey bar, can't go wrong. Vanilla ice cream, chocolate coating on a stick. It's perfect for a nice hot summer day. So this is a question I actually get asked quite a bit by some people, and that is the significance of the Indian on Main Street, and there's also another one in Adventureland. Well, there actually is a significance to it, and that is that during the turn of century, especially here with Main Street, and of course back in the frontier, the Indian statue outside meant that the store behind it or the store near it sold tobacco. So during the turn of century, something that you would see here on Main Street, stores on a street front like this would have sold tobacco and would have had an Indian outside that would have let patrons know, if you need to get tobacco, you can get it here. So there you go. That's the reason behind the Indian on Main Street. All right, so number 5 on our list, our first stop on our ways to beat the heat here in Magic Kingdom, is right here. Didn't have to go too far from where we were just standing, right here at the Main Street train station, and it is the Magic Kingdom Railroad. You can pick this up in 3 different spots. You can pick it up here at Main Street, you can pick it up in Frontierland at Splash Mountain, or in Storybook Circus. There we go. Storybook Circus, you can pick it up over there as well. You can no longer pick it up in Tomorrowland. You used to be able to pick it up there, but not anymore. As you can see behind me, this is actually one of the portals for Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. If you don't know what that is, interactive card game that I talked about in an earlier episode. But I'm going to go up here to the upstairs, hop on the train, and ride this thing around and already get out of the sun. Real quick, while we're waiting on the train to arrive here at Main Street, I wanted to show you one of my favorite. It's not really a secret anymore, as it gets quite crowded up here. Back in the day, probably about 10 years ago, this was a little known secret till the very last minute, and that's up on top of the train depot here at Main Street. You can get up here and there's benches, you can take a seat, but for the most part it's standing room up here. But you get a great view of Main Street, as you can see behind me here. It was a great spot to watch Wishes. It's a great space to watch Festival of Fantasy. It was my favorite place to watch Spectre of Magic and the Main Street Electrical Parade. It's a great spot up here. I think if they ever bring Paint the Night here, which rumor is that they are, and I really hope they are, if they ever bring Paint the Night here, this probably would be my favorite spot to try and catch Paint the Night, right here on top of the train depot. You have to get up here very early. It does get crowded, but if you get up here probably about an hour to an hour and a half before showtime, whether it's the parade or your fireworks, you can get a great shot from right here. Now, they do have the middle section is now blocked off as a reserved. I don't know if that's like a special thing that you can book, that you pay for, that gives you a straight shot down Main Street. Will be good for projections for something like Happily Ever After. But from here on the sides, you might not be able to see some of the projections for Happily Ever After, but you'll have a great shot of the fireworks. So if you're looking for a great spot high off the ground for something like Festival of Fantasy or Happily Ever After, this is the spot right here.
As we head into the American wilderness, we'll pass by the dusty desert town of Tumbleweed. And keep your eyes peeled for the runaway mine trains of Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. The runaway train. Now I ask, is that really from the railroad? Tribes of Plains Indians were living, hunting, and trading for centuries before we ever came along. They were the first to tame the wild horses of the American plains long before.
All right, so this was not an official number on the list, but we'll call it a special mention, honorable mention, if you were. Right here in Storybook Circus behind me, you can see the Casey Jr. circus train, which is kind of like a water spot. You can see the ground. I'm actually getting a little bit wet, and I'm standing 15 feet away. And that elephant right there is actually getting me. So if you don't mind getting a little bit wet, you don't want to ride Splash Mountain or something like that, you want to just kind of run through here and get a little wet, cool down a little bit. There you go. So number 4 on our list brings us right here to Fantasyland, and one of my favorite attractions here. I don't know why, but I love it. It's one of the basic 3D movies, but it's probably the best one that Disney has. When it comes to things like Muppets Vision 3D or It's Tough to Be a Bug, my personal favorite, Mickey's PhilharMagic right here in Fantasyland. I know, it's a 3D movie, but it's about 7 minutes in the dark, in the air conditioning, and it's actually just an entertaining show. So if you find yourself in Magic Kingdom on a super hot day like today, Mickey's PhilharMagic, can't go wrong. Again, another honorable mention, while not officially part of the list, if you really want to find a good way to beat the heat, you could always just wait in a standby line. Personally, one of my favorites here in the park, Peter Pan's Flight. Usually the wait is about 45 minutes on average, up to over an hour. As you see right now behind me, if you can see it, 65 minutes. So that's about where it usually stands till about later in the day. But it's all covered, and now it's partially inside, and even has interactive parts of the queue that you can play. There's shadow play, there's stuff with Tinkerbell flying through the nursery. There's lots of cool stuff in the line, and it's a good way to kill an hour in the air, out of the heat. So number 3 on our list, the official number 3 on our list, brings us right here to Adventureland and to the Country Bear Jamboree. Yeah, some people might say it's old and kind of boring and not very funny. It's also 15 to 20 minutes in the air conditioning, and actually, once you're an adult, the show is funnier and kind of dirtier than you remember as a kid. As in, when the female bear tells the host, "Why don't you come up and see me sometime?" and he says, "Once I find a ladder tall enough." It's dirtier than you think. How do you know that it's peak season at Disney? The worst ride ever is open. God. Alright, so for our number 2 way to beat the heat in Magic Kingdom brings us here to Tomorrowland and to the Tomorrowland Transit Authority, or the Wedway People Mover, whichever one you want to call it. Both are acceptable. I say People Mover because, well, that's what it's originally called. It's a great, high up, nice cool about 7 minutes out of the heat. Plus you get to see the inside of Mickey Star Traders, Walt's original plans for Epcot, and the inside of Space Mountain. And sometimes, if it's your lucky day, you'll catch it with the lights on. So, Tomorrowland Transit Authority, People Mover, whichever one you want to call it, let's go take a ride.
Where you can report for duty as a security agent for the Galactic Federation. Your mission is to keep Experiment 16. Presents Progress City, Walt Disney's dream for an experimental prototype media tomorrow. Progress City was the inspiration for Epcot to take the many of its forward-thinking ideas and then realize throughout Walt Disney.
So one last honorable mention on ways to beat the heat in Magic Kingdom is right here in Tomorrowland at the Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor Comedy. I call it Laugh Floor Comedy Club. I don't think that's actually part of the name. Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. A lot of fun. About 10 minute show. It is one of the improv shows where every show is different. Where voice actors who are off stage are doing the voices for the monsters. Sorry to spoil that for you guys. Kids and adults can supply jokes, and one lucky guy gets to be picked as that guy. If you've ever done the attraction, you know what I'm talking about. I've never gotten to be that guy, and I kind of hope to one day get to be that guy. So if you're ever looking to get out of the heat, here's another honorable mention for you. Well, it's only that time, number one on our ways to beat the heat on a hot day at Magic Kingdom, and it's right here at Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress. That's right, I'm putting this at number one, not Splash Mountain. If you want to get wet, you want to ride a water ride, sure, Splash Mountain is your thing. I, for one, don't like getting wet, so I'm not a big fan of it. I like it, I do, but I only ride it if I'm with other people who want to. So that brings us to my number one, Carousel of Progress, which of course was designed for the 1964 World's Fair. It's about 20 minutes in the dark, air conditioning, and you don't have to get off of it if you don't want to. You can just keep going around and around and around. Ride it 2-3 times. Take a nap if you want to. Don't take a nap. Be respectful. Don't take a nap. But you do get to enjoy the air conditioning, and you get to see some of the rich Walt history that's still here in Magic Kingdom. I mean, without things like Carousel of Progress or Hall of Presidents or the Tiki Room, you don't have animatronics, and that doesn't, if you think about a world without animatronics, you don't have quite a few rides. So this is kind of groundbreaking when it comes to it. So if you're looking to beat the heat and you want to get out of it for about 20 minutes or as long as you want to, Carousel of Progress is how you do it.
Shining at the end of every day, there's a great big beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.
Well, thank you guys for joining me here on the moving platform. I hope you've had as much fun watching this episode as I had making it. For me, it is still quite hot, and I am going to go hit up that Casey Jr. splash pad. That looks like it actually might be a lot of fun. But real quick, I'm going to take my purple wall selfie because I'm in Magic Kingdom. Got to take a purple wall selfie. But until next time, watch your step.